Thank you all for joining me today. I'm excited to be here for the Women in Business Conference. My name is Della Waters. I'm a certified professional photographer, and I hope to give you some tips and memorable tricks for posing to help you look your best. Here's my contact information. You can find me on social media or Instagram and under Google as WattersWorks Company. And if you hop over there and leave some Google stars, I'd appreciate the feedback, please. I've been taking pictures since high school, and I did a lot of photography when I worked for the Gazette with black and white film, and I made my business official in 2009, so I'm a full-time photographer. I feel fortunate that a good portion of my work is here at Bedford Springs, and I'm approaching my 60th wedding. I've done hundreds of families and corporate events and made many friends along the way. This program is visual, so make sure you can see the screen. I'm a member of Professional Photographers of America. This is my tribe, and I'd encourage you in whatever profession you're in to find your tribe of other professionals, because a rising tide lifts all boats. And when we learn to collaborate with others in our industry and not compete, we all benefit. These are my credits, not to boast, but to show that I've done my homework and passed my peer review. I have a support network through PPA, legal coverage, insurance, business guidance, a yearly convention. I'm also a member of 4 different state affiliates, Pennsylvania, Virginia, New Jersey, and Maryland, and we meet for monthly meetings. We have outings where we go shoot different subjects, go on field trips. We have conventions and a network that we can rely on each other for professional work. So when we start, let's compare some images, and there's no right or wrong answer here. Just tell me, which image do you prefer? Which is more pleasing? Left or right? Okay, left or right? Good. Are you catching on? Which is more appealing? Good. Left or right? Oh, this is a tough one here. Right? Left or right? Yeah, you're getting this. Good. No right or wrong answers, just which is more pleasing. These were pictures from the youth leadership a few years back. Okay, now here's a tough one. Yeah, we'll talk about this one later. So I wanted to start by saying that any picture is better than no picture, and a printed picture is more valuable than a digital file, and a framed picture hung on the wall or displayed in the home is the ultimate goal. And the best camera to use is the one that you have with you. So take advantage of any opportunity that you have to take pictures and record part of history. Oh, and just for the record, it's picture, not picture. A little bit louder there for those of you in the back. Now, one of the first questions we ask when we're getting our picture taken is, what should I wear? It's best to wear jewel tones. They work best for most skin types, especially for a professional picture. You want to wear something long sleeved, something with a good collar that accents your face shape, modest jewelry, and long sleeves generally work best for professional pictures. These ladies nailed it here with their outfits. We want to avoid busy patterns and prints. Unfortunately, this guy failed. Why? Again, we want to avoid super bright colors or busy patterns. This family missed the memo, although they were thrilled to have a picture of all of them gathered, so any picture is better than no picture. This family nailed it with their color-coordinated outfits. The little boy's blue in his shirt pulls in the dad's blue, and the colors just work well together. This family also did a good job. A little bit busy prints, you can see that your eye is drawn to the busier areas where there's stripes. The exception to the rule would be if you're displaying heritage clothing. Sometimes it's okay to be crazy and dress up. These are pictures from my Laughter Guaranteed photo booth where I have hats and props. and I do non-traditional images with instant prints for entertainment. When we're taking pictures of groups, we want to generally avoid matchy-matchy clothing. There are a few exceptions for holiday outfits. We want to do something that's pleasing. If you're wearing white shirts and khaki pants, call the 80s and ask if you want something retro there. It's kind of out of date. Now when I'm doing pictures in the studio, I use a color checker to make sure the color balance is correct. And pay attention when you're scrolling through Facebook. If everyone's skin is a pink, magenta, god-awful yellow, that photographer is probably not checking for color. In addition, I've invested in a professional high-end ISO monitor, and I have my lab connected with my color profile so that my prints match what I see on my computer. My lab also uses employees who check for color correctness. And did you know that blood sugar levels impact how we see color? They have their employees avoid big jobs just before lunch or late in the day when they start getting hangry. And the benefit of using a professional lab is they also use thicker papers with color calibrated printers. And these aren't cheap pharmacy kiosk prints that are not accurate with colors and will fade with time. So we want to plan ahead when we're getting our pictures taken. If we have enough advance, we want to do our eyebrows, roots, lashes, manicure, teeth whitening, especially for seniors. I encourage that. Guys need to clean their fingernails and trim their nose hair and 5 o'clock shadow. If ever you have the opportunity to purchase non-glare lenses in your glasses, it's totally worth it. Photograph glasses are the bane of my existence because it's extra photoshopping to Photoshop every single image. If you have the opportunity for professional makeup to contour your face, that is totally worth it. I encourage my seniors to iron their clothing. Senior boys sometimes roll in and they pull the shirt out of the package, and the wrinkles are in it and the creases, and it's not good. So I want to ask now, do you enjoy being photographed? Yep. How many love, love, love it? How many say, I hate having my picture taken? Okay, well, there's several reasons that we might not like our pictures. And the first reason is something called the mirror effect. And it's a psychological phenomenon where people are comfortable with something and they want to stick with that because it's familiar. And when we're looking at ourselves, what we see in the mirror is a reverse of our actual image. It is the inverse. And so that's what we're familiar with. It's like when you hear your voice on a sound recording, it sounds odd because we're not used to hearing our own voice played back. This is a little bit different with today's generation because they're so familiar with having their selfies and having their picture taken. But when others see us in prints, that is the real image. So when we see ourselves in a print or on the computer screen, that is how other people view us, and it feels odd to us. The left image is how I see myself in a printed picture or on the computer screen. The right is a mirror image, which is flipped horizontal. I have a very uneven face. My right side droops. When we do have a very symmetrical face, we probably are people who work in Hollywood or in the fashion industry, as that's how we see beauty, is very symmetrical face. But when people tell us that they see beauty in our picture, believe them, because they're seeing a true representation of how we are. A second reason where we may not like our image is because we are improperly posed and lit, or possibly our photographer doesn't know how to properly pose us and light us. And I'm going to skip a couple of these since we're not talking about men, but there's different criteria we use to pose men. I will comment, this is my award-winning image out of an organization of 37,000 photographers. This was in the top 10 in the world, and I'm pretty proud of that image. So we're going to strike a pose. I'm going to teach you a little bit how we can pose. And perhaps the reason you don't like your images and pictures is because you haven't been taught. So what we do is we start at the feet and we work to the top. First rule is you want to avoid facing the camera straight on. So what we do is angle our bodies a little bit. There is one time that you do need to face the camera straight on, and hopefully we never have to have this image. So we turn our bodies a little bit to the side. We start with the feet. Some people have a good side shooting into the part of their hair, others may not. And what we want to do is shift our weight to the back leg. So whatever is closer to the camera is bigger, whatever's further away is smaller. Boom, move your dark meat away and move your white meat forward. You get it? Some people prefer to have more of their white meat showing, have it accentuated. I have some tools in Photoshop, a bloat tool and a pucker tool, and sometimes we're using those. Other people prefer to hide their assets, but if you do have a big booty and want to flaunt it, then by all means. But be warned, something like this could happen. This is an image called Killer Sex. And that leads to something like this, which is called finalizing the divorce. So what we want to do then, once we shift our weight away, is point your toe towards the camera and then slide your heel back to your other foot. It looks like this close up. So already you can see that there's a huge difference between her facing the camera straight on and just angled with her weight shifted. Now there's exceptions to this. Once you know the rules, you can break them. Certain body types can get away with this. This model, long slender legs, her foot being bent in the back balances it out. So you can get away with different posing. Now, this is called in the photography industry the P pose, like you're crunching, but you don't do it that hard, just a little more relaxed. But if you think of that, that'll help you remember the pose. And notice here her sweater was pulled back away from her body a little bit to give her more of a figure. Sometimes when we try to hide our weight with bulky clothes, we actually add weight in the photograph. And having that extra material pulled away does help to accentuate our good features. Next, we want to pose the arms. Most people don't know what to do with their arms, so they leave their arms hanging straight down. And the general rule is that if there's a joint, it needs to be bent. So we want to bend our elbows. When we keep our biceps close to our body, it smashes them and makes them look fuller. The only reason a female will want to do this is if she's a bodybuilder or something. But when we move our arms away, it gives me more room to Photoshop that I could pull the sweater in tighter if necessary. So what we want to do is not have Popeye arms where they're big, unless we want to show off the muscle. We want olive oil arms. Next, we're going to talk about where we place our hand. If it's on the waist, it shortens our torso. If we move it down to our hips, it elongates us. There you can see just the difference in moving her hand down a few inches to her hip. It helps make her look taller. Also, we can bring our fingers forward a little bit further on our waist, and that will help slenderize us a little more. Next, we're going to pose our neck and shoulders. We always have this problem with the double chin. It makes us feel like this. And do you remember from the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, where Tula and her sister are in the scene in front of the pink Cadillac, and they reach around behind each other and say, "All right, pull my neck. 1, 2, pull." So that's what we want to do to get rid of some of the extra skin at our neck. It's called the turtle pose, and we want to stick our face out a little further. So the first thing we do is roll our shoulders back and point your forehead towards the camera, push it forward, and then just bend your chin down just a tiny bit. Now it feels weird in 3-dimension, but in photos with 2-dimension it looks normal. Next we ask, well, what do I do with my hands? Women often just touch their front of their thigh, put their hands flat on their leg, and that makes it look bigger. Or if we're holding our jacket or something, right here you can see where her hand is almost as big as her face. But if we just rotate that hand a little bit, you can see how that it's more flattering for her hand. And I use this pose for engagements to show off the ring. Generally, when we have two of something, we want them on a different plane. So move one hand up, one hand down, one shoulder up, one down. Here you can see with the children, it's a little bit more difficult to pose hands with children because you're holding on so tightly, but you can see how her hand is almost as big as the kid's face. So that's a little bit harder when you have to hold on to the kids. Just by moving the hand away a little bit, it helps support the weight and make it smaller. Oftentimes parents have a death grip on their kids to hold them still, but we want to move our hands to the side just to make it a little more flattering and not restraining quite as much. We especially need to be careful when we're holding infants where we put our thumb between their legs. You want to be careful with not posing your hand that way. Gentlemen seem to always have a phantom hand. They put their hands around the shoulders, but it should be on the small of the back so we don't just have a random hand hanging there without seeing the arm. This photo is interesting because it shows different hand posing, but it also conveys a message. So here we have an insurance man, a politician, a businessman, and a lawyer who walk into a bar. The insurance man is in what we call the fig leaf pose, where he's protected, covered. Gentlemen always stand this way for some reason. Beside him is the politician. He is visible, but he's reserved. He's showing his cards, but he's showing his hands, but not really showing his cards. His fingers are pointed in both directions to keep everyone happy. So his hands are visible, but yet he's not really showing us. Beside him is Mr. Greenleaf. He's a toy soldier. He has a stiff pose. He's down to business. Or possibly he's just intimidated by the giant standing next to him. And on the end, we have the attorney. She has her hands in the kind of cover me pose. She's got you covered. So it was just interesting. It wasn't really a pose picture. They're more or less just to stand there and I'll take your picture. Next, we want to talk about our seated position. When we're seated, we want to sit tall. So think of it as a puppet string pulling us up. We don't want to be slouching. It helps to move out to the end of the chair rather than sitting back because our thighs then are not pressed against the chair, making them look bigger. More of our weight is towards our tailbone, and that will also help. We want to slide our feet back and cross at the ankles for women to be flattering. Next, we'll talk about our core section of our body. We want to suck it in. When we pull in our stomach, though, sometimes we hold our breath, and you can see how her chin has been pulled back, giving her that double chin. So you want to be sure to push your face forward and exhale and not hold your breath. Sometimes we can bring our arms over across our body to cover the belly if we're self-conscious. Or we can pose behind something. We can stand in front of a chair or have a child sitting in front of us. This is an example of how I used something in the foreground to cover her body. This is called the L pose here on the left, where one arm is horizontal, one is vertical. In the image on the right, fingers are apart and it's more of a power pose. It's a subliminal self-confidence message. Here you can see that my smaller eye is towards the camera, which helps enlarge it just a little bit. When I meet a client, I'm generally making small talk, getting to know them, setting my camera equipment up, and at the same time, I'm also sizing them up, analyzing their features. Which way is their hair parted? Which eye is bigger? What size are their ears? Do they have a protruding nose or a small nose? Where are the cheekbones? What's their smile like? Should I have closed lips or open lips? So I'm trying to plan accordingly. Next, we're going to talk about masculine versus feminine posing. When your head is towards your upper shoulder, it is feminine posing. Think of a little girl being cute where she puts her cheek into her shoulder. The masculine pose has our head towards the lower shoulder. We have to evaluate when we would use those poses. I generally don't ever put a man in a feminine pose unless I would be doing a story on him being tender and compassionate towards children or something. Here she is in a more masculine pose. I'm at a lower camera angle though, shooting up, so she's showing more authority, a perceived higher importance of someone who's a leader. Here I'm shooting from a higher camera angle where she's more approachable and non-threatening. Okay, this image is dichotomous because we're showing a female in a masculine pose. She's leaning forward, which is more masculine, but because she's seated, she's approachable. So the camera angle impacts how we perceive the person as far as are they approachable or authoritarian. Normally, every female is more flattering from a higher camera angle, and that's why when we take selfies, we want to raise the camera and be looking up a little bit. Okay, lighting is another factor and it's the responsibility of the photographer. We don't have enough time to get into all of this, but shadows are our friends and we need shadows to sculpt our face, to define our features. So if you're seeing images on Facebook or wherever that the face is flat lit, that there are no distinct shadows anywhere, probably it's not proper lighting because we need the shadows to help show us that, that we have different features. Next, we want to focus on our expression, our smile, and our eyes. What's a word that we can say that makes everyone smile? We say cheese, but there is a better word. Do you have any guesses? No, it's not money. It is yay. The AY sound lifts the soft palate in our mouth and it raises our cheeks a little bit and it puts our smile in close to a natural position. So when you're having your picture, say yay. Next, we want to look at the eyes. They're the window to our soul. Raising our eyebrows just a little bit can help. Just smiling with our eyes. Thank you, Tyra Banks. We smolder with our eyes, we show some expression, raise the eyebrows a little. So I hope this has been helpful and we're just going to review here for a minute. So first, boom, move your hips back, move your white meat forward. We don't want the Popeye arms, move your arms away from your body a little. We do the turtle pose where we roll our shoulders back, push our forehead towards the camera and chin down. We want to think ballet hands, just soft, gentle hands as if you're holding a pencil. And we say yay and we smile with our eyes. People always say, you can fix that in Photoshop, right? Well, no, not really. I don't enjoy 16-hour days at the computer. I'd rather get it right in camera and fix whatever's possible. The general rule is that for every hour behind the camera, we spend 4 to 5 hours at the computer. And this is why when photography moved to the film era, to the digital era, the divorce rate increased in the photography industry because guys were spending more time at the computer editing or, yeah. So digital photography has also opened the doors wide for females so they could afford to be slightly less technical and more creative. And now females are starting to take over the industry. This is an example of somebody, a senior who had professional hair and makeup done, her hair straightened, and her pictures were similar to Audrey Hepburn, Hollywood glamour, very beautiful. Not much overly photoshopped, but her mom said, that's not who she is. That's not her. This is her in her flannel and jeans and cowboy boots, and that's the person I want to see in the picture. I get it because in this one picture, although it's nice, I've been over photoshopped. My eyes are more even. My skin is so smooth that you don't even see the pores. So we can go too far with photoshopping. But if you do have something, like there, my scar above my eye was removed. If you do have something you're self-conscious about, it's your responsibility to communicate that to the photographer and say, can I take it out? I normally don't remove freckles and moles, but if a person wants it, I can. The third reason that you may not like your photo, would you do me a favor and allow me just to be a little vulnerable with you? My story may help you understand reason number 3, and it has to do with our body image and our self-esteem. I was the runt of the litter, the invisible child in the middle, grew up on a farm lots of hard work, outside work, left unsupervised quite a bit. I probably didn't learn things that I should have, like social graces, but I learned at a tender age things that children should never learn. And I didn't have much self-confidence. I had little affirmation, very, very rare affection or approval at home. And I learned to fend for myself. And I sort of went into tomboy mode and came into more of my masculine energy because I got attention for my work ethic. And being in a home, I wasn't allowed wearing makeup. I would go to school begging God to let me die before I got there because of the zits, and I had bad teeth. I had to wear braces for 6 years. I was slow to develop, and the girls that developed early got all the attention. They got the attention from the boys, and I was a late bloomer. And when I did start to bloom at home, I was teased. My father would call me Chubby or Petunia. That was like Petunia Pig. That was the nickname around me for me. And that really leaves a lifelong impact on our self-esteem. And so sometimes the reason we don't like pictures is because we're not happy with our bodies and who we are. And when we look in a mirror, if we have that negative talk like, oh, you're so fat, oh, look at those wrinkles, we need to knock that off because we wouldn't talk to other women that way, so we shouldn't talk to ourselves. Then, when I did move into a relationship and find someone, it was similar to what I was used to. Remember the mirror effect where we are familiar with what we've grown up with? And the negative self-talk just continued, again, very little affirmation as before. But when you think about who you are as a female, give yourself some credit. Think how amazing your body is. Like that time in the things we've gone through, the time in junior high when you had to wear a sweatshirt around your waist because the nurse couldn't get a hold of your mom, and what you go through each month, the bloating, the cramps, the mood changes, the ravishing hunger, the tears. Think about what you go through with intimacy. You've got to get your mammogram, and if you haven't done it, get yours this year. Some people go through infertility, miscarriages, the stillbirths, childbirth, postpartum depression. So if you have stretch marks, claim those. It's a badge of your courage. And then, if that's not enough, we're gifted with menopause, where hair grows where we don't want, and it starts to thin out other places, and our metabolism slows down. But we have a magnificent body by our Creator, and celebrate that. This is one image when I was in Nashville to walk the stage as a Grand Imaging Award finalist. And in that one day, I received more compliments about my body than I had in my entire life. And though I had lost 30 pounds, it was due to stress from loss after loss in my life. And I was in a terrible place inside, though I looked great on the outside. And that was just right before COVID hit. And very unhappy, and when I got home from that convention, I made some changes. And I'd like to tell you that loyalty has an expiration date. You don't have to stay where you're miserable and being drugged down, that you can move forward. It's okay to ask for help. You have to ask for help. No one's coming to save you. You have to say, I need help. It's okay to have medication and talk therapy, and it's okay to bawl your eyes out. We need those things to heal so that we can transform into the best possible version of ourselves. And if you're not feeling well about yourself, then you can do something to change it with your hairstyle or whatever. This picture is incredibly valuable to me. My elementary teachers, Betty Lou Miller, Norma Pyle, Sandy Dietz Cuppet, Laura Fisher, they are the people who were my safe place. They made me feel loved and appreciated. They taught me to appreciate my intelligence and to think creatively. A lot of times we tell little girls, oh, you're pretty and nice. But should we also tell them, you're creative, you're intelligent, you're compassionate, you're kind. I'm an INFJ personality. I stand up for the underdog. I try to fight for those who may not have a voice. And being a female, that labels me as a troublemaker, and I stir the pot, and bossy. But a male doing the same thing would be rewarded for being a courageous and assertive leader. It's unjust, but women are making strides in changing that. This was my grandma, Daisy May. When I look at that picture of her, I don't see her flaws. I don't see that she was plump or round. I see her as my grandma. You know, God makes our bodies in menopause to be a little bit more flabby and squishy because we have a lap for our grandkids to come into where they can cuddle and snuggle in and feel safe. I don't see the flaws. She was my safe place where I felt seen, heard, and loved. And that's what I see in the picture, not her round face. I think of the times that she spent with us. Nothing haunts us like the family portraits we neglected to create when we had the opportunity. You keep saying, oh, I'm going to get that family portrait. Oh, I'm going to do that generational photo, and we don't do it. Do it before you lose your opportunity. This is a picture I found a few years back. It was me with my great-grandmother, Maggie, who lived to be 102, Grandpa Ralph, Doris, my mom, and me. And I never knew it existed until about 5 years ago. And that is a treasure to have that legacy. When we have professional portraits, yes, they're expensive, but they're the only splurge that we'll keep forever. They get more valuable with every passing year. The only splurge you'll never, ever regret. And if you think it's expensive to hire a professional, wait until you hire an amateur. This is amateur Ann. We all start someplace. Some people have to, we all learn and grow, but if you're getting a $75 shoot and getting 50 photos, yeah, you might want to consider that. Not every style of photography appeals to us. It's like music. Some styles we like more than others. But when it's wrong notes, you know it, when it's really bad. Some of the natural light shoot and burn photographers use light and airy, where everything's blown out. And now it's dark and moody, where everything's saturated and there's no detail in the shadows. Those styles will fade, but the classic portrait where things are well lit will make the difference. So when your clients ask if you can do it cheaper, yes, there are ways to do it cheaper. Or you could even do it for half price. Photography business is never just pushing a button. There's a lot more to what goes behind it, all the administration things. There's more invested in that than what was in my first house, and that was 6 years ago, and I've probably doubled what I've spent on that. Technology changes so rapidly that we have to keep updating. Here's a cracked lens at a wedding, which was very unfortunate. You ask, why is an 8x10 so expensive? In my hand, I can hold $5,000 worth of memory cards. There is an expense to it. I evaluate how many 8x10s do I have to sell to fill my gas tank. Please be courteous of copyright and respectful to your artist. Portrait sales are how we make a living and put food on the table, so don't screenshot, purchase the image, or purchase prints. It's important to print our images and then not only print them, but we need the responsibility to put them in frames and to display them. Having the picture taken is just step one, but when we display them, our child's self-esteem improves. It says to the child, I'm important to this family. I'm important to be hung on the wall. There was a study in 1975 of fourth graders, and they found that children who actually touched photographs or saw them on their walls demonstrated a higher self-esteem. It's important to be photographed in the generations as well. Sometimes we only have the picture to remind us of something that is no longer. A week after I took this picture, the barn collapsed due to a snowstorm. And that was the family farm, so that was their last memory, and they proudly display this in their home. Occasionally people will say, I want the big picture, I want the big picture. Give me the 8x10. But if you look at an 8x10, how small it is compared to other sizes. So you want to evaluate how big your picture is compared to the wall. When I have a family session, I have them tape a picture, a piece of paper to the wall, and then in my computer program, I'm able to show them different sizes. This is a 24x20 and two 16x24s. Different arrangements and how it would look in their house on the wall to give them an idea of what arrangement of pictures they want. All of my brides who receive a wedding collection receive an album. And if your photographer is turning over a disc, that would be like going to the restaurant and going to the server, and the server saying, hey, the food's in the fridge, the grill's on, help yourself. It's not a complete service. You want full service, and that's what I try to offer. These albums are like Crystal Room dining, not McDonald's. Yes, they're expensive, but it's a tangible product that will be able to be passed down to other generations. Archival quality, it's not a shutterfly, cheap little book. And it tells the story of the entire wedding day. It tells us about the people that matter. So prints stand the test of time. We forget to identify the people in the pictures. Make sure you do that. For my memory mates, I take the time to write everyone's names on the picture. It takes me a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. But parents someday will thank me that they can identify the kids in the class, because when I look back at my kids' pictures, I cannot remember, and sometimes they can't even remember. It's important to also frame your pictures with archival quality products and acid-free materials. Framed and matted, the mat prevents the print from being against the glass. Here's a picture that was damaged, and I restored it, the image on the right. Here's another one that had faded terribly, and I was able to restore some color into it. We just discovered this from a neighboring farmer's collection. My family farm was founded in 1762 in Snake Spring Valley. Those are my ancestors who worked hard to make my life better. I'm the 8th generation of my family to live there, and the last generation of my family as we sold the farm. I'm still renting, and this is me on my pony in front of the very same barn. I need to remind you that digital files are non-archival. That means digital files can be corrupted. This is what a corrupt file looks like, or this, or this. With time, they can deteriorate. You need to back up your backups of your backups. Make multiple copies, have them off property, make a copy and store them somewhere else, back up your phone. Our technology changes so much. Just think about the music. What was on gramophone and wax cylinders, the piano player has moved into reel to records, to 8 tracks, to cassettes, to CDs, and now we can have a whole library on our phone. The same is with computer equipment. My first computer programming, we used a cassette tape to record our programs, and the little beeps and scratches like you would hear on dial-up, that's what a computer program is. Now we have all the same into our phone. So that is a very quick view of what I have to share. Oh, by the way, the pose on this side is look at your butt and laugh, that we name it. I hope what I've shared has been helpful. You can find me on Facebook as Della WattersWorks, Instagram, Waters_works, or Google WattersWorks Company. And if you've appreciated this and would like to pop over to Google and give me a 5-star review, it helps future clients have confidence in my work. So thank you so much for listening. Come see me in the First Lady's Parlor. I'm giving away a photo session, so drop your card in the basket. Great, thank you so much.
Shout up and go. A big world is out there waiting for us to live in every day. Outside, you will find there is love all around you. It takes you, makes you wanna say that it's a beautiful life. And it's a beautiful world. And it's a beautiful time. Yeah, the sky is blue, just us two. Side by side, we'll see the world that's around us. Hey, seize the day. Each road, every mile's a photograph in the right in front of you. And it's a beautiful life. And it's a beautiful time to be here, to be here. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful time to be here, to be here, to be
You never look so right, with all the stars above in your eyes. It's like you live life from the heart, shining love never apart. You're ever beautiful, you're ever beautiful. Oh, a love it only forever grows from the ground up to air rose. You're ever beautiful. And every day with you is gold. Light and hope is all that you know. So flawless in every way, there's no other way to say that you're ever beautiful. You're ever beautiful. Oh, I love it only forever grows from the ground up to air rose. Love can be bold as a light in your soul. I'll take these photographs and bury in my heart this love we know. And oh, this love that we know. You're ever beautiful, and ever beautiful. Oh, love it only forever grows from the ground up to air rose. You're ever beautiful. You're ever beautiful. Oh, love it only forever grows from the ground up to air rose. You're ever beautiful.
Hey, child, up and go. A big world is out there waiting for us to live in every day. Outside, you will find there is love all around you. It takes you, makes you wanna say that it's a beautiful life. And it's a beautiful world. And it's a beautiful just us two, side by side. We'll see the world that's around us. Hey, seize the day. Each road, every miles, a photograph in motion to astound us, carry us away to a beautiful life. 'Cause it's a beautiful world, and it's a beautiful time to be here, to be here. Leave all your cares behind you. The sun is rising. Turn around, it's right in front of you. And it's a beautiful life. And it's a beautiful time to be here, to be here. It's a beautiful day. And it's a beautiful time to be here, to be here, to be
You never look so right, with all the stars above in your eyes. It's like you live life from the heart, shining love never apart. You're ever beautiful, you're ever beautiful. Oh, a love it only forever grows from the ground up to arrows. You're ever beautiful. And every day with you is gold. Light and hope is all that you know. So flawless in every way, there's no other way to say that you're ever beautiful. You're ever beautiful. Oh, I love it only forever grows from the ground up to arrows. Love can be bold as a light in your soul. I'll take these photographs and bury in my heart this love we know. And oh, this love that we know. You're ever beautiful, and ever beautiful. Oh, I love it only forever grows from the ground up to arrows. You're ever beautiful. You're ever beautiful. Oh, I love it all. ever beautiful. You're ever beautiful.